Hey, book besties. Welcome to More Than a Book Club podcast. I'm your host, Lena.
And I'm your other host, LJ. And before we get started talking today, I want to remind you that our book club book for this month is James by Percival Everett. Lena and I have both finished it, and we both recommend doing the audiobook version. You will definitely lose something if you are reading the words. The audiobook is phenomenal, and this comes from someone who doesn't listen to nearly as many audiobooks as Lena does. But that episode will be coming out on March 31st, which happens to be Lena's birthday. So you still have time to read. It's coming out in 2 weeks, so get on it. And if you want to also join us, we're trying to read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn because neither of us have ever read it, but it's just, we might not finish. Let's just
We're going to see. It might be a down to the wire kind of deal, but
yeah,
read James. I think that you'll like it. LJ has it. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can see LJ has it marked out what pages she needs to read by when.
Yep, I sure do.
I just pray that I'll get done with it.
We will, Lena. We will. Okay, before we get started, what's been going, what have you been reading? Have you finished any books this week?
So, been a little bit of a weird week. Had a seizure. I have epilepsy, so that's not unheard of. But when I do have a seizure, it causes some stuff. Basically, my brain doesn't want to process information. So, and then I started new medication. So even just talking today, I still feel a little bit loopy. If I look loopy, that's why. I did get some good books in. I did start reading them, a lot of them. I think actually on our last podcast, I was in the middle of, but now I've kind of gotten through. So I finished the Lee Child Echo Burning, which is one of the, what's
Jack Reacher?
Jack Reacher. Yeah. I'm we're watching it on TV right now too.
Which look at me, haven't read or seen it. So look at me. That's just me remembering what you talked about. Good job, Barber. Anyway.
And then I finished The Last Battle, which is the final book in the Chronicles of Narnia. And I feel shocked by that book. I did go Google after I finished it and was Googling, did I really just read that? Is that what really happened? Break it down for me. I need the Cliff's Notes. I need to see what other people are saying. And I think it's just amazing the way that he finished that book. And it really does. I think you had talked about it at one point about reading Revelations for Bible Study Fellowship and then reading that book at the same time. And I can see the parallels. I can definitely see some of that. So yeah, it's a good book.
It's such a good book. And it's, like you said, it's a good end to the series. And I know when I was at the end, I was like, wait, what? I did not see that coming. I never knew that. And I'm shocked that this book series that has been out since the 40s or 50s, right?
Nothing was spoiled.
Nothing was spoiled, but it really is. But I think probably a lot of people just read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian and then don't necessarily continue on because there are movies for a lot of them. And I mean, I get that for the non-readers. I mean, I'd only read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe as a kid. The rest I didn't read. Oh, but still, I can't believe that it was not spoiled. And that ending, it's just so well done.
I think everybody should go read that series. There were some books that kind of lagged, but they're all short books. So I was listening to it on audio and I did go back. I paused it and I was because I've listened to a lot of times at night. And that's when I was listening to it. And I was did I fall asleep and miss something? Did something what just happened? So then I Googled it and then I was nope, I'm going back and I re-listened to that section. So that was kind of fun to be what just happened? That can't be right. I must have fallen asleep. Something happened.
Yeah.
But, so that was a really fun one to get finished. And that was a secondary book for our book club a couple months ago. I think I was behind, but it's all good.
Okay. It's all good. It's all good. You got there.
I got there eventually, and I was glad that I finished it because I had never read any of those books as a kid. I'd seen the movie. I saw the first movie, but I think that was it. So I really didn't know what I was getting into, and I'm glad that I did read those. So it was fun. Yeah. And then I read The Searcher by Tana French. And that
one of those.
It could be. It's a retired police detective. He's from He worked for like the Chicago Police Department, and he retired, and his retirement plans involved him moving to Ireland. Pretty sure it was Ireland, not Scotland. Pretty sure it's Ireland. But he's there and he's fixing up this old house, and he's living kind of like in the countryside. And it just picks up and puts him in the countryside. And then you're there as he's kind of uncovering this mystery. Very slow burn. I did give it 3 stars just because it wasn't like a page turner. Because you know how some books you read and you're just like, I need to know what happens next. This didn't feel like that. It felt kind of slow. It was good. One thing I will say, there was a character, and listening to the audio, her name was Lena.
Oh,
It's
that's
oh my
so
gosh.
fun.
But I went and I Googled it to find out how she spelled it, and she spells it Lena, and mine is Leyna. So it's very rare to have a character with that name. So I thought that was pretty fun.
That is cool. And I have read one of hers because my family used to do a phone call book club where we would split up a book and read a section each week. And we read The Witch Elm. And I looked it up on my Goodreads, and the only thing, I gave it 3 stars, and the only thing that I put in the review was 3.5. So I guess it was 3.5 stars. But I do remember it being very slow and never really getting to a point where it's like, I just have to know. So,
Yeah.
And I do remember the ending, which was it was a good ending, but it just was kind of boring.
I want my mysteries and my thrillers to engage me and make me want to flip those pages and get done with it. So if it doesn't do that, it doesn't quite hit 5 stars. And I think that it would be great. There's so many books that I've looked back on and I'm like, what did I rate that as? And why did I rate it as this? And I wish I could go back and re-rate some books and actually get better about reviews. I do think that you have improved your review game. So you're my gold standard.
Oh, well, thank you. I know I did it forever. And then I used to, and this is something I've got to do again. With thrillers, I used to have to hide all my reviews because I put notes to myself so I'd remember what happened. And I still do it occasionally, but I haven't been as good about it. And I've read so many thrillers in the last few years that I get them all confused. And it's kind of like when we reread that Agatha Christie, I think it was, what was it, like 4:10 to Paddington?
Yes.
That actually we picked that because I didn't know it had 2 titles, and I had read it as What Mrs. McGillicuddy Saw, and they're the same book. But again, I didn't remember who did it. I thought I did, and I was totally wrong. So it was like reading a whole new book.
That is a crazy thing that so many of her books have more than one name.
Yes.
And keeping all of that straight of who wrote, like, what book did she write, and have I read that one? That must be really difficult because you've read a lot of them.
I have, and I've seen that before with other ones where I'm like, wait, now I understand the renaming of And Then There Were None. That's, I believe, the 3rd title that it's had, and the others were racially inappropriate. So I get that, and that's smart. But some of the others, I don't know why there's multiple names, but that is definitely not the only one.
Yeah, so I did that one, and then I read Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lentz. And that one of the bookstores, because I don't know if I even mentioned this, but today we are talking about independent bookstores and libraries. So that's my topic of choice for my birthday month episode. So that book, Dinner for Vampires, is Neighbor Books, one of their book clubs. They're talking about that one. So I read that for that. And if you don't remember who Bethany Joy Lentz is, she is an actress who was on One Tree Hill. She played Haley, and I have never seen One Tree Hill. So I kind of went into this really blind because I was like, I don't know who these people are. It was kind of fun to read it and not know who she was. And now I'm going back and watching some of the show, and I'm like, but she seems so normal. And it's a book about how she was on a cult TV show while actually in a cult, and how it started off so benign. And it's almost like an abusive relationship. Like you are slowly, methodically brought into this situation where it's like, oh, this doesn't seem so bad. It's not so bad. And then you are in it and holy cow, it's horrible. So yeah, but it was a fun, quick read, kind of like a light, fluffy read, which I kind of needed at the time.
Yeah.
It's been really nice to have that.
I did read that one not like a couple months ago. I think it was so good. I agree. And And I knew who she was because I've watched, I think, all but the last season of One Tree Hill at one point. And I agree, like you would have no idea. And it did. It seemed so normal and innocuous at the beginning. And then, you know, it went downhill from there. And I think that's a good analogy of it being a bad relationship. Like, I think that probably is a good definition for most cults, especially people that are there from near the beginning, is that it starts out as this positive thing, a community, and then it slowly becomes worse. And then her being a celebrity and having money, I mean, obviously people with money are going to be targeted, like once they're in, even more so in order to help support the cult. So it's a crazy book. You should read it even if you don't know who she is. It's interesting. I love cults. So, and I never heard of that one, but yeah. So what have I been reading? Okay. So I finished Beaches, which I believe I was in the middle of last week too. And I will say in the book, like I've seen the movie, I love the movie. I've seen it many times. I don't know that it's that great of a movie, but it has Bette Midler. It has Barbara Hershey. It has Malum Bialik.
Like Blossom.
Blossom. It has Blossom, and it has John Hurd and the amazing song, The Wind Beneath My Wings. But I think in the movie, whoever created the script for that, the characters come more to life. They're not one-dimensional, and you see an evolution of characters throughout with both of them, the two best friends. Whereas in the book, they seem very one-dimensional, and you don't really see any growth as they age and go through it. They're pretty much the same people. At the very end, you see an evolution of character for one of them, the Bette Midler character. But either way, I was disappointed. I only gave it 3 stars. And It was still sad. I still cried. But the characters are just so one-dimensional. So I would not recommend it. If you love the movie, this book is not going to make you happy. I mean, it's just not. And then I finished a book that we're reading with the leadership team at my school. And it's called No Excuses Leadership, 9 Bold Choices Exceptional Leaders Make. And I will say it's really good. And it's specific to school leadership and teachers. So it's nice to have a leadership book that's dedicated to the education world when you work in education. But the quote or quotes that really got me to be like, okay, I'm going to buy into this book, because, you know, sometimes these leadership books can be repetitive, especially the ones in education, which it's sad, but it's like, come on, give us some new info. But what this said, he said, the works that inspire us the most as readers are not made up of original content, but rather are original in how that content is shared. And then he also said the content won't be groundbreaking, but the way I intend to share it certainly will be. And for me as a teacher, I was like, isn't that a metaphor for education? Like the content doesn't really change, except for history as it continues, but the content doesn't really change, but how we present it evolves. And so I like
really
that.
Change the material and how people receive it.
Yeah. And so it was good. And it had a lot of practical ideas at the end of each chapter. So I enjoyed that. And then one of the recent independent bookstores that I went to, because I've gone to 4 in the last month with Lena, I got this from, what was it? Patchouli Joe's, is that the name of it? So we had gone there, which we'll talk about that later. But I had gotten the book Such Charming Liars by Karen McManus, which I love her books. I think I only have one that I haven't read at this point. But I will say, I think she bit off more than she could chew on this one, because she wanted to write a heist novel. So she did. But when you're writing it with teenagers and adults, it was a little bit different, which I enjoyed. I loved the characters. But a lot of the events were just like, there's no way that this would be able to happen like this. So it's not my favorite. I guess she was due for one that I didn't like, because I really have I think I've given
They can't
4.
all be wins.
They can't all be wins. I think I've given 4 or maybe 5 stars to all of them.
And I think I've read 2 books of hers now. I know The Cousins.
Oh, I liked that one. Yeah.
Did she do The Cheerleaders?
No, that's Kara Thomas. What you might have read is One of Us is Lying.
Yes, I did read that one.
And she has 2 sequels to that. So I've read one sequel.
I've read all the sequels.
Okay, so the only one I haven't read is the 3rd sequel, but I have it, so I need to read it. But yeah, I think that's all. I'm still reading Anna Karenina, Anne of Avonlea. I'm almost done with that audiobook though. And The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And I did get a new toy this week that I have to share.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Since we last recorded. So I got my Kobo. This is it in the case. And so I will show it. It's the Kobo color, which I don't know if you can even tell in this, but it has a stylus. It kind of looks like, if you're not watching, it kind of looks like the Kindle Oasis that they discontinued because it has the buttons on the side. But so far I've had fun. It's really nice. You can annotate in the actual books, not just, on a separate app or something. And so that's really nice because that's what intrigued me. And it's all in color. So that's fun. And if you want to compare it, I guess, if I put it side by side with my Kindle signature. Okay, I'm going to close this book because it shows how big a font I need, and we don't want to do that. As so much fun as that is. I mean, so you can see it's a little bit bigger, but the screen size is pretty
roughly
similar.
The same. Yeah.
Yeah. This one, the Kobo is more square, whereas the Kindle signature is rectangular. And I will say, I definitely recommend both. I love them both. They have very similar things, but the Kobo does have the stylus and where you can annotate in the books, and it's in color. So that's really the advantages of this one over the Kindle. But again, I still love my Kindle. I still have Kindle Unlimited. So, and I'm playing around. I'll
telling LJ yesterday because we went out and she was letting us play with it. And I think it would be great for if you were taking classes and you have the school book or whatever in front of you and you need to highlight and make notes and do any of that stuff. I would almost say that is maybe a cheaper option than an iPad, because I know when I took a couple of college classes 2 years ago, and having an iPad was almost like a necessity because my laptop was too big. And so I needed something small, and then also I could take notes with, and that was very helpful. But having the part where you can annotate on it, I'm like, that really does put it up there with an iPad. And I'm not sure what the cost of it is because I don't remember how much my iPad was after all was said and done. But it might be something to look into if you are someone who goes to school, but then also likes to read. So if you want something
it's true
for both.
It is definitely true. So yes, that's my new toy. But as you said, we did some fun stuff yesterday.
And we got to hang out. It was kind of nice. It was a beautiful day. We'd had crazy wind and windstorms here in Texas on Friday. It felt like nighttime almost. It was so dark and crazy dark outside with the wind and the dirt. But yesterday was beautiful. And it also apparently was a 5K, a Shamrock 5K. And then also it was a beer walk. And we were like, why are all these people down here?
Yeah.
Apparently we came at the wrong time, but it was a beautiful day. We got to hit up some fun stores. We went to one of my favorites, which is Neighbor Books. And this is an independent bookstore in downtown McKinney, Texas. And if you are from Texas and haven't ever been to the downtown McKinney Square, I would definitely recommend going. It's very picturesque. It is quintessential Texas. Like if you think of the squares, like the, olden days, that's what this is. It was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Has the big courthouse in the middle that's no longer a courthouse. Now it's a theater. But then there's all the shops around. And for years, I've been saying that they needed to have a bookstore. And I would love to, have one there. Can't wait. Hopefully they do it. And then this married couple finally did it. They're living the dream. So they bought the space and turned it into a bookstore. They've been holding book clubs there. They're having some author events. They're doing just fun things. They do, I think it's quarterly, a puzzle competition. And I had gone with some friends and we built puzzles and they had prizes and stuff like that. So just fun. My team came in 5th. We didn't win a prize, but we were close. But yeah,
that's fun.
It was a fun outing for us. And one of the things that they had just started was they right now are only a new bookstore, but they want to start doing some used books. So they had asked people to bring in used books on consignment. And then they had a used book sale this weekend. And it's still going on, I think, through today, maybe tomorrow. I can't remember when they're stopping it, but their goal is to eventually open up a used book section, which I think would be nice because the books were way cheaper than, I think I got a paperback and I think it was $5.
Yeah, they
And
were $6, I think, and then $12 hardbacks.
Yeah.
Which I did. And then I got a new book too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So
Yeah.
I got a couple. I'm showing mine. I got Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy because I've read 2 of his other books a long time ago and really liked them. So I hope I like this one. And then The Diary Keepers, which is from people in Holland during World War II and their diary entries, including from like a Nazi, some people that lived in the town, people that helped smuggle Jews out or hide them. And so I was like, this sounds really cool, nonfiction, just getting to read diary entries from all these different perspectives. And then I did, this is Lena's fault, by the way. I did get Myrtle Volume 3, because our friend Emily got Volume 1, and then 2 and 3 were the options, and I liked the green. So I got this one. Lena, why don't you tell us what Myrtle is? Because I think you have a better elevator speech than I can come up with on the spot.
I love Myrtle. It is something I just discovered last summer, and it is kind of like little logic puzzles. So it gives you like, here's some hints, and then you have to figure out who did it, where they did it, and what they did it with. So it has like a story that goes along with it too, though. So as you're going through these puzzles, it's like, here's Bob, and Bob happened upon, found this body. Who killed the person? Where did they kill them? And with what did they kill them? And so then you have to figure it out, giving them, given the clues that you have. And it's fun because you don't know for sure. And you're like, am I right? The answers are in the back of the book. And then along with the answers, it has like a short little story paragraph with it too. So you're getting not only the logic puzzle, but then also a story to go along with it. And so much fun. It reminded me of whenever I was in, like, we had like the gifted and talented program, and that was our warm up every day. They would give us a logic puzzle, and I'm like, I loved those things. They were my jam. So it reminds me of being a kid again, and just that fun, like, let's get excited about learning and figuring things out and using, like, what do you call that? Where you're using
brain?
And my brain is still fuzzy, so I'm like, I don't know. The words are not coming to me. Using logic and using all the different clues to figure out, like, to pull information. So
one, you just unlocked a memory because I totally forgot. I would like, I don't know. I don't think we had a talented and gifted program at my elementary school. We might have, but I was pulled for something where, like, a couple of times a week, we would all go to this one teacher and we would always do logic problems as part of it. And I totally forgot about that. I was like in maybe 5th grade.
It was probably a GT program.
It must have been an unofficial one, but anyway, but it was fun for like an hour. But what I also want to talk about with this bookstore, because Lena has really been the one that has always, been like, you should go to independent bookstores, support people. And I think there's a common misconception that independent bookstores are going to charge you more money, but they are not. Like, here is my brand new book. It has the US price right here. And that is exactly what I was charged. Just like if I bought this at Barnes and Noble. So know that you're not going to be upcharged. You're going to get the same. Now, they might not have buy one, get one deals, but honestly, 9 times out of 10, the books that I want don't fall into those categories anyway.
And I will say, so the Neighbor Books has a membership program, and it's $99 a year or $10 a month. And I do the $10 a month program, but you can get, so like 20% off events. I think that's what it is. And then also for books, if it's a new, like, hardback book, you get 40% off. So there's like special programs that you can get into, I guess. And yes, you're paying for it, but I feel like I'm getting something out of it, and then also supporting a bookstore. So I feel good about that. You know what I mean?
No, I think that is good.
And it's one of those things where they're able to provide programs because they have members who are, regardless, they know that they're going to have a set amount of money coming in every month. And I think that, I was like, that's a really good idea, because then regardless of what time of year it is, they know they're going to have X amount of money coming in, which I was like, that has to be good for a company that's just starting out, because it's a husband and wife. They have 2 younger kids. He was a teacher. He was an English teacher, and then did the bookstore. I can't remember what she did before all this, but they just are really nice people, and I do feel like I'm supporting their family whenever I'm going in there. I think I said that they did the puzzle competition.
Yes.
So what else have they done? They're bringing in authors. They're bringing in an author that you and I were supposed to go see, but then you have to work.
Yeah. So I do have to work. So Lena mentioned this on the last episode about this author, and so this true crime book. So I did end up getting the book, and I really wanted to go with her on Saturday, but I do have to work. So unfortunately, I will not be able to. But what's funny is she talked about this author. I'd never heard of her or anything. And then I had a different friend recommend a podcast about a local crime that happened in 2002, where this woman in Bonham, Texas, which if you're not from around here, even if you are from around here, you might be like, I don't actually know where Bonham is, but it is northeast of McKinney, and it's a smaller town. And this woman she disappeared, and then her body was found, and it's still an unsolved case. So my friend lives in Bonham, and she recommended this podcast because she's like, it's so crazy. And so I listened to it, and I didn't pay attention to who the name was. And the way she said her name on there, I couldn't quite understand what it was. So I went to look up how to say her name. And when I saw it, I was like, that is spelled exactly how the author Lena mentioned last week on the podcast. And sure enough, it's the same one. And so now I'm really sad that I can't go. So I am really disappointed that I can't go see her. Her name is, I don't know what her first name is. Claire. And it's Sanama. But if you look at her name, looks like it's Saint Amant. And I think that's what Lena had said. But when I heard it, how I sped it up, it sounded like she was saying Claire Sandoval. And I was like Tom Sandoval, like Sandoval, Bravo people know what I'm talking about. So that's why I looked it up, and I'm like, wait a minute. And so just fun, small world
that so crazy?
Two different friends had different connections to this author. And I'm really sad that I'm not able to go.
I bribed my son to go with me.
Awesome.
So since I had the seizure, I can't drive. So I was like, okay, if you drive me, I will buy you supper. So we're going to go. He's going to drive me down there, go to the thing with me, and then we're going to go have supper at the Yard, which is
that's fun.
An outdoor restaurant that he really likes, that they have fun mocktails at. So that'll be fun.
Okay, I feel better because now it's going to be a mother.
It's going to be a mother-son, and I think that he might like it more than if it was like, if I try to take him to a rom-com thing,
right,
or something. That might be pushing it. This at least will be true crime, and maybe he'll find that interesting. Who knows?
Well, and she has such an interesting history doing all these things with crime reporting and investigation. So I think she's going to be so interesting. I'm so jealous.
Yeah. And that was the one that I was supposed to go to Waco for, to one of my other favorite bookstores. And my daughter had the flu, so I couldn't go. Yeah. So I'm excited that I get to go see her and support a local bookstore. And then also, they're the ones that are doing the Dinner for Vampires book club. I'm going to go support them again. So I was like, I feel like I'm going to that bookstore every week now for the next month.
You are.
But I was like, you know what? That's it's a special, fun thing that I get to do, and I get to support them. And I'm glad that I get to. So I'm glad that there finally is a bookstore in downtown McKinney.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited that happened and that you have all these fun things yeah. All right. Well, we're already starting to talk about independent bookstores. Do you want to talk?
Let's dive right in.
Let's dive right in. Okay. So you had mentioned Fabled. Do you want to talk about that one first?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Fabled is my absolute favorite bookstore. And I love Neighbor Books. Don't get me wrong. It's local. But Fabled, it's amazing. And most people, when they think of Waco, Texas, they think of the Branch Davidians. Speaking of cults, that's what they think of. Think of Branch Davidians or Magnolia Market, Chip and Joanna Gaines. Which, fantastic. Like, I love Chip and Joanna Gaines. I love all their shows and all their ridiculousness, but Fabled Bookstore is the reason that I go to Waco, Texas. It is. They have like a little area where they have coffee and drinks, and they have one that's my absolute favorite. Now I can't remember what it's called, but Frobscottle. It's called a Frobscottle, and it's got Pop Rocks in it.
Oh my gosh.
And the Frobscottle is from I think it's from the Big Friendly Giant.
Oh, I never read that.
I haven't read it, but apparently that's what it's from. But it's a kid's drink, so it has Pop Rocks in it, so you're drinking it the whole time. It's fizzing in your mouth. So just really fun. They have this really cute children's area where it has it's a wardrobe that you enter through. So it's like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Totally worth going to if you're ever going through Waco. We actually used it. My mom lived in San Antonio, and we would use it as our halfway point where we would stop and we would go use their bathrooms because their bathrooms are clean. We would stop and get a Frobscottle, and they had sandwiches there too. So we would get to walk around. We would get to use nice, clean bathrooms. I would get to buy a book. Everything was perfect. But they have it's a really cute place. Definitely worth checking out. Also, it is a really great place for a lot of authors to come through. I've seen Catherine Center there, Sally Hepworth. I feel like I've seen a couple of others too. It's escaping me right now, but I do enjoy going there, and I do want to take you someday. We're going to go.
I know I want to go. We will. It's going to happen.
It's like 2.5 hours from our house, so it's a little bit of a drive, and our schedules don't always align. But maybe this summer we can do it.
We will. We'll do it this summer for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I have only been to ones with Lena, so all the ones that I talk about are going to be that. But I want to talk about, because we went to 3 recently and didn't. And I want to talk about the one that was actually my favorite, which I have no actual pictures from, but I absolutely loved Recycled Books in Denton. I think we were in there, what do you think? Like, not even an hour, but maybe we were
45 minutes. I don't know.
But I could have probably stayed in one section for at least an hour. It was so good. So this is off of their website, but it's called Recycled Books and CD, I don't know, whatever, all the other things. But 500,000 books right on Denton Downtown Square. Since 1983, Recycled Books, records, and CDs, there it is, has been serving up the best in used books, music, movies, and more. Spread over 3 floors of the historic Wright Opera House, our extensive selection is sure to have something for everyone. Stop in today and discover what's waiting for you at Recycled. So what I got my copy of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and it's like a critical edition, and it was, I think, $6 or $8. It was ridiculously cheap. And then I got, I don't even have it in here, but what do you call those itty bitty books that there were probably thousands of
books?
I guess.
Mass market pulp.
Yeah, but I guess, because they're all the same height, and they're thinner than I feel like the mass market paperbacks that we've seen for the last 20, 30 years. And they're all in plastic cases too. So I got one that sounded interesting. I think it's possibly a ghost story, or where you think it's a ghost story, but it's not really, kind of like Nancy Drew. It's how it read. Well, I thought that was really fun. I really could have stayed there. And that one was only, I think, $3. It was really cool just walking around. And I believe, based on something that I saw on social media, I think there was another part of the store that had been closed off for repairs, so we didn't even get to see the whole thing.
Yeah, it's huge. And I had gone there, I think it was actually one of the last times I had a seizure. My husband took me there because he took me to Denton. We went and got ice cream. And then, because Denton's like a 45-minute drive from us, but it's a cute college town. Texas Women's University, University of North Texas is there. So it's really like a fun, hip place. And we had gone for the ice cream, and then my husband found the Recycled Books, and then Patchouli Joe's, which is another bookstore down there. And so we had wandered around those. But it's a really cute place. I had never heard of any of those, but now I'm like, it's an amazing place. And it did have all the 1950s sci-fi books that are just ridiculous. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, that kind of stuff. They had a ton of those. So it was just really fun to go look through some of those and what were they thinking?
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. So yeah. Should we now talk about Patchouli Joe's, since we just mentioned that one?
Talk about
Let's do the Denton books. Okay. So that one was fun. There's a whole Stephen King section that Lena was like, oh,
But it did have some really cute, like it had like a, is it Here's Johnny?
yes.
It had like the guy's face where he's poking through, and that was fun. It had a typewriter, had a couple of like cute things if you're into that kind of like, oh, let's take a picture of this, which I am. So
Yes.
that was fun.
It wasn't. There's a lot of cute little parts of it, and I like their setup. It's very inviting and friendly, and the staff was so sweet.
Nice.
They really were. They really were. We were chatting with them, and they really were like, they were trying to, you know, make sure if we were eligible for any discounts. Like they have a thing for teachers, they have a thing for military, I think like nurses, firefighters, something, police. Yeah. They have stuff to bring people in. And yeah, it was fun walking around. That's where I found the Karen McManus that I was like, I didn't know she had another book out.
But yeah, so that one was really nice, and it was inviting. I think that's one of the things that really got me about that one. It made you want to go sit down. They did have some tables set up and some chairs so you could sit and read, but it felt very inviting and warm and comfy kind of place.
It did. It was very nice. I was like, when I walked in and the atmosphere already was thinking, I have to buy something here because I want to support them.
And that's my problem with independent bookstores is I want to go in and I want to buy all the books, but I mostly listen to audiobooks, which there is an app, I guess, that connects audiobooks with independent bookstores. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I do know that they do have that where you can go and buy audiobooks and it'll support the independent bookstores. So there is an option for people if you are an audiobook listener.
I think when I was Googling stores for this, because like I said, I've been to 4, but all with Lena. So I didn't even know what other ones besides like Fabled that she's talked about a lot. So I was looking for ones that I might want to visit. And I think I accidentally happened upon when I was clicking through one of their websites that took me to that site. And it's like a co-op where lots of bookstores are in it, I think. And so I think I might have happened upon that. And I was like, that's cool, but I totally forgot until you just mentioned that. So yeah, I definitely will go back to Patchouli Joe's.
And then while we were there, the whole reason we were there was to go to the Plot Twist Book Bar, right? That's what it's called?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Plot Twist Book Bar. And it's newly opened romance bookstore in Denton, which is just super fun. And that's where we got to go. We had a book signing by Thea Claire. Thea Claire? Is that right?
Yes, Thea Claire.
I was like, wait, the other lady's name was Claire. I was like, am I getting it wrong? But we got to meet her, and that's where we had super fun. They had fun cocktails, and they have mocktails. If that's more your thing. And then they had tattoos there that day, but we did not get there in time to get a tattoo.
Yeah, they were so backed up that there was no way. But like, here's what I got this from their website, because even though we went, which by the way, it is so cute. They have, when we were there because of the event, I don't know what it would look like on a normal day, because that's obviously different, but they did have like a little cute little couch with like neon, so like books with like neon pink, whatever, the light up, what do you call that? Yeah. And it says like, came for the plot, stayed for the twist or something like that. And it was cute, but it's pink, a lot of pink and bright colors, which I love. And they have all sorts of romance, not just, rom-coms. They also have like romantasy and things like that. But here is what it says on their website, which I did not even know all of this, even though I've been there. It says, "Hi, welcome to the Plot Twist, an upcoming independent romance bookstore and bar owned by a passionate mother-daughter duo whose shared love for reading blossomed back in the Twilight era. If you know, you know. Through countless pages of romance, we built a special bond, and now we want to share that joy and connection with others. Our journey is rooted in deep appreciation for romance novels and a desire to spread this passion in a meaningful way. We truly believe in the transformative power of romantic stories, the way they can uplift, inspire, and transport us to enchanting worlds." And I love that. So
I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. The first time that I had ever heard of like a romance specific bookstore, I think it was around 2020, the Ripped Bodice in LA.
Where is that? Okay.
So it's in LA, and I had just been following their social media, and they have a fun social media, fun different like backgrounds that they do, store windows, that kind of stuff. And when my kids turn 13, I take them on a trip. That was they they get a trip and they get to do their own laundry. That's like, so they get a gift and I get a gift.
Yes.
And
yes.
so
Love it.
my daughter chose to go to LA. She wanted to go. We went to Universal Studios and did all of that. And I was like, we have to go to this bookstore. And she was like, bookstore. And she like was so anti going to this bookstore, did not want to go, dragged her feet, complained. We had gone to the beach that day. So I was like, okay, it's time to leave so we can go to the bookstore. And she just was unhappy. And then we got there, and this is a bookstore. It's very girly, and my daughter is not very girly. But one of the things that she really liked is that they had all kinds of pens. She likes the little enamel pens, and they had a ton of those. But in addition to having a romance, like the whole store is a romance section, but they had romantasy. They had LGBT, can't even say the letters, QIA plus. And my daughter wanted to find a romance, like a gay lesbian romance. And they were very helpful. I was like, okay, so she just turned 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for her reading whatever, but I would really like it to not be open door, just hanging it all out there. So they helped me find a closed door romance book that fit what she wanted, which I thought was really cool. And they were very helpful. And we talked about, because my daughter wanted to read, there was a book called This Book is Gay. And it talks about people's coming out stories. And they had it there. And I guess she had checked it out from the school library. And her English teacher made her check it back in. It was like, you can't read this, which I don't have a problem with her reading.
Right. Well, I bet it's not even in our libraries anymore because we're in the book banning capital of the world, I think. Well, maybe not the world. But there is some Middle Eastern countries that are probably actually the capital of that. But in the U.S., we are probably the capital of book banning in schools. To be clear, the state is not banning books where we can't access them, but they're just removing books from school libraries. Lots of books.
Public libraries, too. So,
are they really?
Yeah.
Oh,
there's been
okay. Then that is real book banning, jerks. Anyway,
so,
whatever.
It was kind of fun to talk with them about that. And then we talked about the differences because it was California and it's way different than here. So we talked about that. And then she left and she was like, maybe I do like going to bookstores. But I think she had just been going to the wrong type, the wrong ones where she didn't find what she was looking for. So that was really good just for her to explore different things, find out different romance tropes existed. She didn't know about half of them. So it had a really good conversation.
I love it.
And then my son, when he turned 13, he chose to go to New York City. And I wanted to go to the Strand, which the Strand it's a huge bookstore in New York City. And several movies and books talk about it. I think it was called Lillian Dash's Book of Dares.
Okay.
But it was really cute, kind of like a Christmassy romance, but they're teenagers. But I think that happens at the Strand. But there's several instances where it's come out in pop culture. And I really wanted to go, and we never got to go. And I was super bummed. So that's someday when I go back to New York City, I'm going to the Strand. We did get to go to the New York City Public Library.
Oh, that's cool.
Which, if you aren't familiar with that, the big library, I don't know if it's like a certain branch or what, but it was down by one of the Christmas markets we went to. And they have the big lions out front, Patience and Fortitude. So we went in there, and it's a really big, huge library. You could walk around, and they also had like a gift shop. So I got a shirt from there, and we got some different things, and we got a book for my daughter to bring back for her, and it was Cats of New York. And so it's pictures of like bodega cats and cats just everywhere, but it had like sayings on it that were totally inappropriate. And at the time, an 11-year-old. So
oh my gosh.
She was like, you didn't read this before you gave it to me, did you?
That's so
funny. I was like, don't mind the bad words. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a fun experience. I try to, if we go on a vacation somewhere, I try to find a library or a bookstore to go to just because I think it makes it more fun going to San
I like
Antonio. My
that.
mom used to live there. We went to the Painted Porch, and it's outside of San Antonio, and it's owned by an author. I can't remember what his name is, but I'll have to mention in the show notes who it is and what it is. But it's the Painted Porch, and it had like this amazing fireplace all made out of books. It was really cool.
Man.
So it's definitely worth going to if you ever go down to San Antonio. It was like outside of San Antonio, kind of in the hill country. So
yeah,
really fun. But that was
sound fun.
one that I went to that I enjoyed. And then Dallas also has Interrobang. Have you ever been there?
No, what is that?
So Interrobang, it's a small independent bookstore, and it has like a children's area. They also do author events. El Cosmiano, who does the Finley Donovan Rolls the Dice, those books, which are really fun if you've ever been looking for just like a fun, silly read. So she is an author. The main character, Finley Donovan, is an author, and she's talking with her, I think, not her publicist, but her editor or whatever, about her next book. And they're talking about whacking someone or killing them off. And then someone sitting next to them thinks that she is a hitman.
Oh,
and
my
so
gosh.
tries to enlist her to kill her husband. And she's like, no, that's not what I do, but I'm really broke and I need the money. And then a series of events happen and the guy dies. And then the lady thinks that she killed. Like, it's hilarious. So they're definitely a fun book series. But I've gone to a couple of different author events there that it's just fun to go see those kinds of things.
Well, let me ask if you've been to any of these other ones that I have looked up in recent days. Okay. So I think you've been here, Wild Detective.
Yes.
You've been there.
That one, it felt more like a coffee bar and cocktail bar that had author events and happened to have some books there. Like it didn't feel like a full-on bookstore. Like they may have maybe had, I would say, 50 to 100 books. So it was like very like keyed down. It was fun to go to. Like it was enjoyable. But
yeah, the picture that I have, because I do have pictures in my notes since I haven't been there, like looking at it, you can kind of tell like, yeah, it looks like the bar area. I can't see like how far it goes back, but where it shows the books, it really does not look like there are very many books.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But it does look like it has a fun atmosphere.
It was.
Okay, another one, Deep Vellum. Have you been to Deep Vellum?
Have been to Deep Vellum.
Look at you, because I will tell you, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but the front of this bookstore looks really cute. So I judge it by that. But I know nothing about it, so please.
I honestly don't remember anything about it. Apparently, I know that I've been there, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, here's what the website says about it.
Okay.
Which I assume this is in Deep Ellum, which is a section of Dallas. If you don't know, it's in downtown. Downtown has kind of a few different places. Deep Ellum and Uptown are right by each other. Uptown's a little bit fancier, more expensive, classier. Uptown. Deep Ellum is like where a lot of the clubs and bars are, and it's more casual. There actually is like a police station, I think, on Elm Street, right in the middle of it. Anyway, so Deep Ellum is a play off that. So it says Deep Vellum began publishing in 2013. Today, we're the largest publisher of literature and translation in the U.S. In 2015, we opened this little indie bookstore on the corner on Commerce and Walton in Deep Ellum. We carry, in parentheses, almost all of the works we published and many other good books. Like to read, come visit. Want to like to read, come visit.
And
got a little bit of every.
But actually, I haven't been there. I've just heard of their publishing company.
Okay, that's what
maybe
it was.
that's
that
why
makes more
I don't
sense.
remember it.
Right. They say we've got a little bit of everything, a lot of literary fiction, and an underrated poetry section. Ask us to introduce you to your new favorite novel, join a book club, have a cup of coffee, buy a tote bag, get invited to a private concert on our roof. The possibilities are endless. Our shop is small, but we contain multitudes. Don't believe us? Then there was a link to the events calendar. And then it says, not in Dallas, you can support us online from their website. And then this is the thing. Prefer audiobook. Check us out on Libro.fm. So there we go.
Libro.
I was like, I knew I saw something about it, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Okay, so there's that one. What about, oh no, I've been to this one. Biblio Bar is in Plano, downtown Plano, and I guess it's in and out of opening. Like, I've definitely been there.
I think I just saw that on Instagram recently because they were like, hey, we're reopening.
Yeah, because I didn't know it had closed. I will say, it was at the beginning of the separation from my ex-husband, and a former coworker sent me a random text. She loves to read. She's a bookstagrammer too, and it's CBG Reads. If you want to go find her, she's awesome. She also is big on TikTok. But she sent me a text this like Sunday morning and was like, can I steal you for the day and we can go to this bookstore in downtown Plano and then we can go get coffee? And that day happened to be the first time that my ex was going to pick up the kids since we had been separated. And I will just say, you know, all the firsts when you're going through something like that are hard. And I was like, you know, I don't really want to be here. And my kids were old enough to stay home alone, just to be, you know, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, that would be great. And so she came and picked me up and we went there and we got coffee and it was really cute. I bought a couple of books. And so I didn't realize it had closed, but I guess they've just reopened. So yay for them. Have you ever been to that one or no?
I haven't.
Okay. It's kind of small, but it's upstairs. I don't know if there's like, I feel like there's like a photography place maybe downstairs and you go in and go up the stairs. I could be wrong totally about that. Okay. What about Blush Book Bar? Have you been to that one?
I have not. And I feel like that one's newer. I could be wrong.
It is, I think it's a romance one in Dallas, but it says, with their first location opening in Wichita, Kansas, we are so happy they made their way to Texas and in the ever-growing Bishop Arts area at that. The shop exclusively sells romance novels, with most of their stock being focused on contemporary novels. What's great is they offer a variety of genres, including fantasy, dark romance, young adult, contemporary, historical, and LGBTQIA+. And this one is
you can say
very
that.
pink. Yes. Well, I was reading it. It's easier when you're just reading it, but it is. They've got like pink shelves on one side. It looks really cute. It's like, I mean, nothing against it. They have a really cute chandelier thing. I think that the plot twist, whatever, you know what I'm saying. The one in Denton, I think I like the atmosphere more than how this one looks. But again, it's a picture. So I don't really know.
It's hard to know.
And then is that all of mine that I've looked up? Yeah, I guess that's all the ones. So unless you have more.
So that's kind of the big ones of mine. I did want to say I want to go to Parnassus Books in Nashville, which I think I talked about on the last episode. Ann Patchett owns that. And I think that would be fun to go to someday.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever go back to Nashville
really
to go visit my dad, I'll probably go there. But just go support your local bookstores. Look for them. A lot of places have them now. I feel like books are making a comeback, which is kind of fun. It's really a fun thing. You know, records came back and we were out somewhere and there were CDs. You know, when records first started coming back and they had them places, now I feel like CDs are making a comeback. And I'm like, I don't have a CD player either.
Me neither. My car doesn't even have one.
Mine either. So it's totally different, but books are making a comeback and just support them. And definitely, if you want to really support books, go to your local library. And libraries are the other thing that I'm passionate about. I always thought it would be cool to work in a library, but I don't know if I'll ever get to do that. But
you never know.
You never know. You never know. But they have so many cool things other than just books, and really libraries about connecting people. So if you haven't looked into your local library, do that. I know ours, we have like several libraries because we're suburbs of a big city. And so all the different suburbs have their libraries, and you can get library cards. Like they have reciprocal memberships. So like we're in McKinney, I can get a library card in Frisco. We can get one in Plano. And that's just what I know of, but they all have different services.
Yeah, I feel like Allen might as well. I do know the one that Frisco is more limited. Frisco does not allow you to check out their ebooks, so neither does McKinney for them, but you can check out like physical books. I think Plano because I have Plano and McKinney, and I love having access to the Plano one because there are, especially if you want to get physical books, there's so many locations. But it was really funny when we were playing out this episode, I put libraries. I got nothing here because I mostly check out from the digital library, which I do that all the time. And I remember in the middle of COVID, like all of a sudden I could not access it anymore. It's like, please contact your library. And I sent an email. I was freaking out. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess like every so often you're supposed to go back in or something.
Card. Yeah.
And they were like, but it was during COVID. So they're like, we'll just do it online. So don't worry. And so I was like freaking out. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I want to read books. Like, I need to go get my books. But they sorted it out. But I do know something that I have seen that isn't really related to the book side of libraries, but that libraries are one of the few places that it is completely free to visit. Like it's, I know some people might not like this, but like homeless people can go in there during the day and maybe, you know,
People
just be
have to
inside
use the
for a little bit.
bathroom. My goodness,
Yeah.
like basic human
Yeah.
rights.
Yes.
That's not the only reason to keep the libraries open.
No, not at all. But I was like, I hadn't really thought about that because if I go pretty much anywhere else that's indoors, in order to use anything, like to sit there, whatever, you got to buy something. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, I know I always hear of other people, like when their kids were little, getting like bags of stuff from the library and all these things.
We did all kinds of
that.
events when our kids were little, and they still have programs now. I know Frisco and McKinney both do kids events for like spring break, for summer. They bring different programs in. They have like a special events area just for like kids activities. They did a thing where you made bath bombs and like sugar scrubs and different things like that for like aromatherapy. They've done writing workshops. They have book clubs. They do a huge thing for genealogy in McKinney. So if you're into genealogy, that's a great access point for you. They just have so much stuff. And I think that people forget about it. English as second language programs. I had a friend who since passed away, but she was a librarian at the Dallas Public Library, and she worked on some of their ESL programs and then just some of their programming in general. And she was like, you'd be amazed at how many people use the libraries just for learning. After you get out of high school, some people, they can't go to college, can't afford it, but she's like, they still want to learn. And even older people, you know, once you're done and you're retired, like, what are you going to do? These are some of the things that she was like, we get people of all ages coming in here, from little kids doing Mommy and Me programs to puppet shows to author events. So it's really worthwhile to go support your local library.
And I do know too that a lot of teachers will tutor at libraries. Now I know, like, depending on the library, if you're wanting to reserve a room, that's different. Like you can pay to do that. But if you just need like a table to sit up and help a kid study and learn something, I know that's where a lot of my friends have gone, because when you go like to a coffee shop, then again, you got to buy something. And so I love that.
My, the nonprofit group that I work with, they meet at the library, like just as our small group does, but you can reserve rooms. My work, we've reserved rooms because they have whiteboards, they have stuff set up so that you can have like a private study room. That's a thing in there. Our my kids' robotics team goes and does a program there twice a month where they do outreach and teach kids all about robotics. So just all kinds of fun things happening at libraries that I don't think people really know about.
It's true, including myself. But now I know, because Lena taught me.
Before I was a stay-at-home mom, I don't know if I just didn't, we lived in Spokane, Washington, and I was like, did our libraries dare have all these programs and I just didn't know about it? Or was it just whenever we moved here that I was at home all the time and was looking for things to do and found all these free library programs? So I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but in our area, we have a robust library system. So take advantage of it. There's so many things out there, and they have free books. You can check out a book for free. And you're basically already paying that when you pay your taxes. So you're paying for all of that stuff. So don't feel guilty about taking a book out or checking a book out.
For real. For real.
Yeah. Ours even, they did away with library fines.
I think they might. Did they come back after COVID or no?
I can't remember.
I don't think they did. I think some libraries did. I will say that when my kids were little, I stopped checking out their books because my ex-husband would get confused and put them up somewhere. And then I've had to buy so many library books to replace the ones that disappeared.
They can be expensive.
And they can be expensive.
Different binding.
Oh my gosh, seriously. So after spending probably $100 on losing book fees, I was like, never mind, I will not be getting my children. And then I've had to pay from the elementary school too, I had to pay a bunch for that with both kids. And then just the other day, I had to do the same thing for my daughter, 2 books from high school, like sophomore year. I'm like, I never see her reading a book. Like, where are these books? Where are these books that she can't find to return? Because I swear I've not seen her read them.
I think so. My kids have the checkbooks out for English class.
I bet that's it. And then she lost them
somewhere at school. And I know my daughter, because they have like an ebook program, Sora.
Oh, that's cool.
And so she does a lot of her books through that. And neither of my kids used to love to read. And then they kind of got off of reading as they got older. And some of the kids at robotics were talking about books. And she was like, they keep telling, like, I have a friend at school. And then one of the other kids at robotics was telling me that I should read They Both Die at the End. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, yes. I was like, it's an amazing book. I think I have it. You can borrow it. So there's hope.
Cool.
Maybe our library kids will become library adults.
I know. I don't. My son does enjoy reading. He just doesn't really do it anymore. Yeah. And my daughter has never really enjoyed it. And I'm like, neither does her dad. And I still maintain that if you don't enjoy reading, you just haven't found the right books. But it still makes me sad that
we've been
I'm
together
such a
for
big
like
reader.
25 years. And I think I've seen him read 2 books. And it was, I think, Steve Jobs. It was the Steve Jobs book. And then Aragon, the Dragon. He read that.
I remember that one.
And those are the 2 books that he's read in 25
Those are the 2 that he's
years.
read. Yeah. I think I only saw my ex read books for work. Like the one, because they'll sometimes have us read books. Like I said, the one that I finished this week. And other than that, no. But I'm like, my mom and I are such big readers that it makes me sad that my kids don't really read. I think Gavin will come back to it. I think he just doesn't have as much time.
And we used to read all the Dean Koontz books and all that. And like our whole family would read them. Mm-hmm. So like my stepdad would start it, he'd finish it, my mom would read it, I would read it, my sister would read it, and it would just kind of go around.
That's what we did with the John Grisham books.
Yeah.
So,
all very good.
All very good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, I think that you should definitely check out your local bookstores, local libraries, support them in any way that you can. Keep them going.
Yes, I think so too. So before we go, since we're both on spring break this week with our kids, although are you working still though?
I am still working. We were talking about maybe working from home on Friday just to kind of mix things up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working next weekend. My second job is off this weekend, and then they're not off next weekend. That's kind of how they do it on the breaks. If there's like multiple weekends, then the last one, they'll be back open. So I will be working. But otherwise, I have a lot of free time this week. And so I'm hopefully going to do stuff. But I also have some books that are on the goals. So I would like to read Quicksilver this week. I kind of have been planning to read that. And it's kind of a big book. And I've heard mixed reviews about it. So I'm curious. And then
I have that. I downloaded it on my audio app. So maybe I'll read that one with you.
Okay, cool. Because so I had gotten it, and then Emily got it, and then my friend Hannah, Good Girls Gone, or no, that's wrong. Good Girls Gone Goodreads. Yeah, I don't like Good Girls. No, Girls Gone Goodreads. She read it recently, and so then Emily was like, "I think I'm gonna wait till spring break," and I'm like, "Okay, I have other things that I got to read, so now I have time, and then." Maybe I'll get ahead on my Huckleberry Finn schedule. Maybe I'll finish Anna Karenina that I've been reading since.
There you go.
But those are the only ones that I'm like, okay, I really want to read these. I know I need to get a a thriller with a twist or 2. I need to get some of those, but I haven't read one in a bit. And I need a good one, like where you just can't put it down. So what are you going to read this week?
I am currently reading, I gotta look at it. It was, I want to say Divergent, but it's not Divergent. I'm currently reading Hunger Games because we had talked about reading the next iteration that comes out. I can't remember what it was called.
And it's going to be our book club book one month. One
of these darn months.
One of these darn months.
But I was like, maybe it would be good to go back and reread those because I haven't read them in a long time. I do plan to read that. I have Quicksilver and the Noel Bridge, both on my audio app.
That's a Jenny Hale, isn't it? Or no? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like, I read that.
I have both Christmas. Of those that came up on my library app, so I'll probably read those. I do need to read Huckleberry Finn. I need to read Anne of Avonlea.
Oh yeah, I gotta finish that because our actual book club is not meeting next weekend, the weekend after. I gotta get on that though.
Yep. We have a lot of reading to do.
We do. And it'll be fun.
If you remember our guest host last week, Christine Wellard, she was talking about the Ink and Aura Society. So if you haven't seen them on Instagram, they actually came out with their book that they're going to read for their first book club. They're going to do a virtual book club. It's going to be over Teams. And I have the book. It's called Every Beautiful Mile.
Mm.
So that is the book that they're reading. And so I am probably going to, at some point, start reading that. It's on Kindle Unlimited.
Nice.
And then I'm trying to work on writing because to be part of that group, you have to be a writer. So.
Yes, you do. That's good.
Like, in order to attend, I have to actually do the writing. So I'm working on doing the writing and the reading. So
love it. That
goal.
is awesome. So next week, we are going to be talking about our quarter end favorites. Because if you can believe it, we're rounding out the first quarter of the year.
It's crazy.
And so we're going to talk about our favorites, maybe our least favorites. I don't know. We'll see.
We have to throw in one or two of our least favorites to mix it all up. Like to be well-rounded.
Yes, which is what we want to be.
Yes. And then we can talk about our two hopefuls.
Yes, that sounds like a great idea. So yeah.
Have some goals. And I think that we had talked about, instead of just telling y'all what we're going to be reading every month, we're going to give you a little like sneak peek into the next quarter. So that way you know like what we're going to read. If you're a slower reader, maybe you need some extra time to read. So that way you can have a couple of months. Or if you're like me and want to put it on a Libby hold, you can have that in advance so that you can have it on hold. Because those are all very important things whenever you're trying to read as many books as you can and also save as much money as you can.
Absolutely.
And that's why libraries are fantastic.
Yes.
All right. Well, until next week, I hope that all of you have a wonderful mid-March, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.